Hello there, and thank you so much for tuning in to CAC TV. This is Transforming Families. My name is Faith Kaulu, and I'm excited to have you on board today because each time we're here, this means that our families get transformed and strengthened, and that is all we are all about. Now, today, I have the pleasure to host Reverend Gitao Mushugia, who is the lead pastor at Trinity Chapel Thika. Thank you so much, Reverend, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I must say.
Thank you.
Karibu.
Yes.
Today we are talking about marriage and religion, rather relationships, let me put it that way, because we also want to have a look at the dating and courtship period,
Yes.
And religion and the challenges that can arise while at it. Okay. But before we dive in right into it and look at that, let's get to hear what are your views on marriage, especially today. When we look at how things are, we have high divorce rates, we have young people getting married, which a lot of people are discouraging. You know, they're like, get to know yourself, get to enjoy kidogo before committing yourself to someone. And people have said that, you know, a lot of people getting married young is what is leading to the high divorce rates. So let's talk about that. I think begin by telling us what's your view generally on marriage.
It's interesting, and it's a very, very interesting question, Faith. My view on marriage is that marriage is work, but it works. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it will definitely get work. And it is said that many marriages are crumbling. But the funny part is that we only get report of planes that crash. We never get report on the planes that get to land safely. And out of 100, I'm sure it's maybe 1 or 0 that get to crash. So I believe that there are many marriages that are working out there. It's only that we get to blow these things out of proportion for the marriages that are not working. But I know many that are working. And I believe that marriage is a good thing and marriages are working.
Okay.
Yes.
I love the analogy that, you know, we get a lot of reports on the plane that crash.
Oh, yes, that is very true.
There are also many that land safely.
That is very true.
And that marriage is work.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of us think that it's easy, I'm now a wife, and that's it. But you've said it's work, but it works.
It works.
It works.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about your experience.
And I think the challenge is that we might think that people, there's a lot of divorce rate because of people getting married young. That is not true. That's not the case. The challenge is that people get into marriage without getting equipped properly. So they don't really know exactly what they're getting into. Because Faith, for you to become a journalist, you underwent some training.
That's
For me to become a pastor, I got trained. Yes, I got the call, but I got trained. And I got equipped. I got some mentors to equip me and to prepare me for this. So many young people get into marriage without without being equipped. Because there's a gentleman called Gary Chapman, who is a great author on marriages. And he talks about what he calls in-love obsession. And he says that whenever you meet a girl, girl meet boy, and you fall in love, that season lasts for about 2 years, where you're so obsessed about each other. You can't get enough of each other. You will talk for hours. I remember during our dating days, we'll talk for hours and without a care that tomorrow you are reporting to work, and you will talk and talk and talk. But after 2 years, that season fades off and you're supposed to grow into another season. And now that is where now works come in, where you are supposed to be very well equipped, you are prepared, you are ready for this. So I've enjoyed this for about 10 years, and God has been gracious to me. I've had different phases and different stages, and it has been good.
All right.
Yes.
And when we are talking about, you know, being equipped, what does that mean for a viewer who's watching?
That's interesting. Let me give you this analogy, Faith. You visit a dentist. I don't know if you've ever visited one. I've never visited a dentist personally, but you visit a dentist, and then they've just numbed your tooth, and you're there waiting for the numbing to take effect. And you're looking on the walls. You find no certificate, no paper, and you're like, is this guy even qualified? And you ask him, Doc, I can't see any certification here. How did you become a dentist? Tell me about your school, your schooling life. And then he tells, you know what, Faith? I was a hawker somewhere. I was hawking books, and then I bumped onto this book that talks about how to become a dentist.
Yeah.
And I read, and that is how I'm running this practice. I don't think you...
I would rush out.
Oh, of course, you will just rush out.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is happening with many people.
Okay.
They jump into marriage without getting equipped, without getting prepared. You go through a class where you are trained, different things, because when Solomon talks about marriages, he talks about the small foxes. Those small things that may not look like they're serious, they're the ones that get to affect many marriages. So you go through a training, through a class. For example, in church we have about 10-week class where people get to discuss so much about in-laws, they discuss about finances, they discuss almost everything, and then they are getting ready for marriage. Yes, that's number one. You get prepared pre, but there is a post part.
All right.
We encourage our young people to get a mentor couple. You know what, Faith? When you're 30, you think you know everything.
Yeah.
Until you hit 40. Then you hit 40, you're like, wow, I'm the wisest man to ever live. In fact, if we were to rewrite the Bible, maybe we would erase the name of Solomon and have Faith as the wisest person to ever live.
Yeah.
But then you hit 40, and then you have people who are in their 50s, and they're looking at you. They see all the mistakes that you're making.
Yeah.
So you need someone who is about 10 years to 15 years your senior to get to walk with you, to get to equip you, to get to prepare you, to get to challenge you, and to tell you not that they act as coaches.
Yeah.
They don't get into the field, but they are a coach. Maybe coaches of football or teams.
Yes.
I don't talk about Manu, but football teams. They get to coach you, they get to guide you, that not that way, this way, not that way, this way. So there is a pre and there is a post. So we tell people you need a mentor couple to walk with you, to guide you, to lead you. Then we have many other seminars after that will keep preparing you for that. Because marriages have phases and stages.
That's interesting, because most of the times when we're talking about marriage, I've only heard about the pre. You know, and that's what a lot of us know. And it's not usually the 10-week program. It's you go, you see your passee,
for
says,
2-3
this
days.
is the guy, you know. But here you are, you're mentioning the post. I'm like, that is actually really nice. And just to ask, this couple who acts like a mentor as a coach, do they really have to be your best couple, or it could be, you know, a couple that you pick to walk with you the journey? And how, maybe just briefly, how do you then reach to that point where like, okay, we'll settle with this one?
Let me begin by saying that unfortunately many young people make the mistake of getting best couple who are good on camera, they look good on camera, on photos and all that, and because this is my friend, so we've been together for years, so this will be my best couple, which at times is a mistake. So what we do is that we tell people that they must not necessarily be your best couple. You might look at a couple in church or in the society that you feel, okay, I admire many things about this couple. So request them to at least get to walk with us as a couple. And you know what, Faith? You know, in the pre-part, it's all theory. By the way, did you know that spectators are better players than the team, than the players themselves? They're like, it's just... Come on now, you should have scored, you should have done this, you should have just passed over to so-and-so. Now, that is the same thing with marriage. Before, you have many theories, you know, this is how things are supposed to be done, this is how things are supposed to be. Then you get there and you're like, wow, rubber meets the road. Then you're like, this, the reality on the ground. Kwa ground, mambo ni different. So you get there and you're like, wow, this is how things are. So now the post is very important because you are evaluating it, getting to see, this is what I thought, this is how it is. But you are getting prepared, at least at the back of your mind, you knew that maybe such a thing might come. How, for example, how do you deal with conflict? So you get prepared before. But now the post, you've met, interacted, and you have this conflict, and you're like, how do we now resolve this? So post is very important.
That's interesting. I'd really love to go on with that.
So
that's not our topic today, and I think maybe we can discuss that another time.
That is very true.
Let's look at what we are tackling today. Boy and girl meet. Probably out somewhere or at work. And they are of a different religion. Probably one could be a Christian, one a non-Christian, either Hindu, Muslim, or any other religion. And here comes the Bible in 2 Corinthians that tells us, you know, do not be
yoked together, yeah.
Yes, because then what relationship or what is there in common between light and darkness?
That is very
then in such a situation, what happens, especially having in mind
Yes.
that this partner who is not a Christian is good morally, they treat you
Yes.
well,
Yes,
and you're
yes,
like,
yes,
oh, Jesus, Lord. Then what happens?
It's all dark and handsome.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. And by the way, as a pastor, I'll just use one phrase,
Okay.
and then we are done with the program. But that's not what I'm about to do, because in reality, Amos 3:3 says that two cannot walk together unless they're in agreement, unless they agree.
Okay.
Let's look at the word agreement. Because at the end, or the beginning, I mean, from the beginning, God made man and woman and made them into an agreement with Him and with each other. Because that is what happens with marriage. It's a covenant between God, or with God, and with each other. So you ask yourself, what is this agreement that is there? How can we strike an agreement with this person from a different religion? How do we strike an agreement? So to respond to that, I'll ask myself, what challenges will come with such a union, with such a relationship? Number one, culture. We are different. You are in your religion, I'm in my religion. The culture is completely different.
Yeah.
How do you view your view of God? You get some religions where they're telling you, okay, you can bring your Jesus, we'll add him to our gods here. And now you're wondering, I don't think that is what I believe in. So it's important to look at that culture. Then number two, the children factor. Ask yourself, when God puts us together and He blesses us with children, so where do we take them to? Do we take them to a temple? Do we take them to a church? Do we take them to a mosque? So you ask yourself, the children factor is very important. And ask yourself, where will we take them? Because one thing that we must never forget, Faith, is that marriage, in as much as it's just two people coming together, it's bigger than that. Because a day will come when I'll be the oldest man in my lineage.
Yeah.
God giving me age. I'm 90. I'm the oldest man. My children, their children, the third and fourth generation doesn't know any other old person other than me. So I become a patriarch. So I'm preparing a generation. And if you look at it from that perspective, then we want to be serious as we begin this. And ask yourself, what kind of a generation do I want to bring? So the children factor is very important. Where do you take them to church? Where do they go to school and all that? So it's very important for you to ask yourself that question. Then ask yourself, how will we communicate in terms of, we are talking about these gods and we're talking about our God. So how will we communicate with us? And that is why I tell people that after the emotions have settled, after seeing this tall, dark, and handsome guy, after seeing this light skin, after seeing this person who has all that you feel, all that you've been praying for, and you're like, oh God, you're so generous. How do you give me such? All these things are packaged in one person. After that, you need to sit back, call yourself for a meeting, and ask yourself, is this what I want? Then you look at a few things. Look at faith. Faith is very important. Not faith, I mean faith. You look at faith and ask yourself, what do we have in common? Going back to Amos 3:3, can two walk together unless they agree? Are we in agreement in terms of faith? And when you talk about faith, it's not just about coming from this religion and another religion. It's even coming from a different church that has doctrinal differences. So you ask yourself, are they even a believer in the first place? So that's number one, very important. Then ask yourself, family. The family they come from, the family I come from, because that comes to play. I have my friends who are watching this program who tell me that there's something they call FOO. They're psychologists. They tell me that's what they call family of origin before you get to FOC, family of choice. So your FOO comes at play, family of origin, and it will affect you. So you need to ask yourself about that. The other one, you ask yourself, who are their friends? I need to know them. Because sometimes I don't even need to know you. I need to meet your friends and I'll exactly know who you are. Because they say you are the average of your 5 best friends. So you ask yourself, do I have them? Do I know them? I find it interesting when I see things on social media, when someone is saying, now this Jama, he's a deadbeat guy, he left me with a child, and you are asking them, who are their friends? I didn't know anyone. Do you know their family?
Yeah.
I didn't. So how did you jump into that? So it is important for us to get to know that faith, and then ask yourself, then what about the future? What future? How will this future look like?
Yeah.
Where are we going with this? Remember the generation part. You're like, where are we going with this? Will I forgo my religion to follow their religion, or will they have to join me in my religion, or even church? Will they forgo their church to join my church, or will I forgo my church to join their church?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I like that you said, let the emotions settle.
Oh, yes.
Call yourself to a meeting.
Exactly.
You yourself, and you know.
That is very true. That is very true.
And ask yourself all those important questions. But you see, we have people who have strong faith. They're like, me, I'll pray for this guy. I'll fast and pray, and he'll get to know Jesus. You know, talk about that crazy faith.
Sorry, and apologies, my viewers, for laughing.
Yeah.
You know what, Faith? Men marry women hoping that women will not change.
Okay.
But women change. Women marry men hoping that men will change. Men don't change.
Wow.
Where you found them 5 years ago, that's where they will be.
Okay.
And this is the reasoning. You find me in a pub, okay? We were enjoying life up to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Now we settle. You want me now to stop all that, and you now want to domesticate me.
Yeah, yeah.
You see? So that's the mistake that we always make. So if he cannot change to have you, he won't change to keep you. So the question is he willing to change before he even gets you?
Yeah.
Or are you saying it's okay, he will change after? He will not. He will not. And you'll be like, why do you want me to change? And you accepted me as I was.
Yeah.
So why do you want me to change now? I can't change. Yeah. So I tell people, please, if he's not willing to change to have you, he won't change to keep you. So run.
Run.
Oh, run.
Do not go to the prayer mountain.
No. If you're going to the prayer mountain, pray before that they may change.
Okay.
Pray before that they may get to know Jesus if they're not believers. Pray before that they may commit in this.
Yeah.
But don't pray after. That the post thing does not, the post prayer doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's only God who changes people anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is I agree with that.
Yes.
But you know, from the viewers, from our
Yes.
society, from what we see and stories we hear, allow me to ask, we have people who are believers and they're married to non-believers.
Yes.
And they enjoy a very happy marriage. And maybe someone who's watching, they'll be like, but I know people who have a good marriage and they're married to non-believers.
Yes.
In such a situation then, when someone approaches you as, you know, their pastor or their reverend, what then do you tell them?
Paul addressed that in the book of Corinthians, and he told the believers in Corinth that you meet together and you are both non-believers, you settle, and then maybe later one spouse gets to meet Jesus. You don't divorce them because they might even get to know Jesus through you. So you don't divorce them. You are in that, but keep praying because you are supposed to be on the same wavelength. And sometimes, in as much as things are working, they might seem to be working here. Believe you me, if those guys can be sincere, deep down their hearts, they will tell you, if they were okay in their faith, it will be better, yes, than it is now. Okay. Yes.
All right. You mentioned about being with someone who's of the different denomination.
Yes.
So I'm from church A, you're in church B.
Yes,
I don't know what to mention. And here we are trying to make this work because now we are both believers.
Yes.
How then do you go or handle such a situation? Because I believe it's hard. Everyone is used to their fellowship and to the members and they have friends there. Then how do you get to an agreement on what way to choose?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one by that. That's a very good question. And I've come across that. And many couples have come my way in the same dilemma. The first thing that you need to remember is that you are creating a generation. So you need to ask yourself, way before, where will we go to church? That's why I told you, let the emotions settle. Okay. Then now come to reality. then ask yourself, where will we fellowship and where will our children go to church at the end of the day? It's unfortunately, most men expect that because I am marrying you, you must leave your church and come to my church.
Yeah.
By the way, my brothers, sorry, that doesn't really work in real life. It can work in utopia, but in real life, it doesn't work. So you ask yourself, where do we worship? You might look, like my practical example is that my wife came from a different church, completely south, and I was from a different church, completely north. And we were like, okay, I forgo my church, you forgo your church, we look for a common ground and get to work together. And we've really grown together out of that. Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
That sounds easy peasy. But we must agree that we have people who are stubborn, who say, you know what, I won't leave my fellowship, I won't leave where I serve or where I fellowship at.
Yes.
You are the one to do that. And I like the fact that you've talked to guys, because then guys who leave their churches are viewed as not manly enough.
Oh, yeah.
How do you allow that to happen? You know, you are the man. Yes.
I think our major challenge is this, Faith, and my viewers. We don't live for us. Most of us live for other people. What will people say about me? Okay? Maybe one of these days you need to discuss what is happening today and what we see today with many murder cases that we see in marriage. Because, and someone is wondering, if I leave, what will people say? But do you know what, Faith? People have many issues that they're dealing with. Some of them remember you when they see you or when you post something on social media. They don't even remember you. So ask yourself, what is good for us as a couple? Together. So ask yourself, how can we pursue this common ground together? And at the end of the day, you pursue that 5 years, 10 years later, nobody will even remember that you left your church. Nobody.
That's true.
Nobody will remember.
Okay. So you would advise a couple that it is good or better if you then come to that agreement.
Yes.
Other than each of you remain in their own individual churches.
I would advise and highly recommend that you worship together. You come to a common place. If you agree and ask yourself, what do you want for us and our children as a couple? And if that which you want is in the ladies' church, no problem. Just go and worship there. If what you have is in the gents' church, just go ahead and worship there. If you cannot find what you want in either, then pursue one church, look for a church that serves you and serves your interest at the end of the day.
All right.
Yes.
Earlier on you had mentioned that, you know, if both of you are non-believers, you get married, and then in between you get to know Jesus Christ, do not leave your partner.
Oh, yes.
And then here comes a question now, both of you are believers, you get married, and then in between the way, one loses their faith. Still stay with your partner.
Stay with your partner. Stay with your partner. Get to pray for them. Get to stand with them. And I think it's the same thing with health. You are both healthy, and then one gets terminally ill. So do you divorce them? Do you leave them? Or you're together as a couple. One is earning so much, and the other one is earning so much, and then one loses their job. Do you divorce them? Do you leave them? Because marriages are made of many. For a marriage to thrive, it's not just one thing. It's not just faith. It's not just religion. There are many other factors that come into play. Yes.
All right. Let's take a very short break. Dear, do not move our muscle. This is just getting interesting. Keep in touch with us on our social media pages. Facebook and YouTube is CAC TV Kenya. Keep it right here.
How well do you understand man's relationship with God? For answers to this question and more, we invite you to join Dr. Lawson Kuria as he launches his third book, Triangle Applied Ethics, that explores important discussions on ethics whose relevance continues to grow in our ever-changing world. The event will be held at PCEA Emmanuel Kangoya Church in Kiambu this Sunday, 22nd of May, 2022 from 9 a.m.
We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments, kindly get in touch with us via email info@caktv.org, SMS 0111 220044, or call us on 0794 588 054.
Guild is a fellowship whose aim is to unite both women and girls through fellowship, worship and service.
Kazi hii ya Women's Guild ilianza miaka ya zamani. Kama tunavyojua ni miaka 100 tangu aanze kutumika katika kanisa hili.
This year is a special year to us, for we will be celebrating 100 years since the first group of girls was commissioned in 1922. Since then, the group has grown and has impacted many lives.
Sikuwa najua kushona chondo, lakini saa hii nimefunzwa na mwalimu wangu, nikafunzika kweli. Sababu nikishona moja mbili nauza, napata kitu ya kulisha watoto.
I think that ilinivutia sana kwa Women's Guild. Kuna kitu wanaitanga giko giatha in Kikuyu, and imekuwa ikinivutia sana.
PCA St. Andrew's Tumaini Children's Home was started like 22 years ago, the year 2000. It's a project of the Women's Guild. Specifically, the target was HIV orphaned children, just to extend compassion and give hope. Tumaini is about hope. Indeed, we can count God's blessings, and like Samuel, we are saying, this far the Lord has helped us.
The Women's Guild is marking 100 years. It's a milestone.
For this reason, we have set aside 1 week of celebration, whose launch will be on Sunday, the 22nd May at 8 p.m. live on CAK TV. Please join us that evening as we celebrate the faithfulness of God.
Tuwe makini na kiasi tuweze kuomba zaidi, tudumishe upendo kati yetu.
Greetings to our esteemed viewers. Bwana asifiwe. The moderator PCEA Laikipia Presbytery, the parish minister, Reverend Stanley Kanja Kimani, and the CAK session Muhotetu, in conjunction with CAK TV, joyfully invites you to their 50 years of Jubilee celebrations. For 50 years, the church has been at the forefront in spiritually feeding and shepherding its congregation, and thus far the Lord has helped them. The Jubilee celebrations will be held at the church grounds this Sunday, 22nd of May 2022 from 9 a.m. and will be presided over by Reverend Paul Karaoke, the Deputy Secretary General. Tune in to CAK TV on Signet, CAK TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube to fellowship with us.
All right, welcome back to Transforming Families, and thank you so much for keeping it right here. With me today is Reverend Gitao, and we're talking about religion and relationship, of course, courtship, dating, and marriage as well. And Pastor, you had said that, come together as a couple.
Yes.
Talk about where you'd like your children to fellowship at, where you'd like to fellowship at, and pick a church. This is if you're from different churches. Then here comes a question: how to inform your pastor or your friends at the church that you are leaving that church.
Okay.
Yeah, how do you go about that?
Okay, that's a very interesting question and a trick one for that matter, because at the end of the day, what I know pastors understand and know is that it's not everybody who comes to Trinity Chapel Thika that will be there forever. A day will come when they will transition, maybe due to career, marriage. I mean, that's another transition. So we just go to them and explain to them that this is where we are at. Thank you so much for the season you've been together. You're getting to another season and you just transition into this other place. And I want to believe that any minister who really understands that their calling is into shaping a generation, they'll be more than willing to allow you to transition into another space.
Yeah, so they won't take it personally. You know, we have those pastors will tell you, you're making a wrong choice, my daughter. You need to stay here. God will give you a man from this church. You know,
and I think the joy of every minister is to see the young people grow and transition into other stages of life. It's my joy to see young people graduate and then start working to their career, start a family. That's my joy. I think that's the joy of every parent. And a minister is a parent, to say so. Yes.
All right. Here then is another situation.
Yes.
You're getting married to a pastor.
Yes.
Or a minister. And you become the spouse to a minister. And of course that comes with certain expectations.
Yes, yes.
And for you as an
yes.
individual, you feel like, I don't have that calling. How then do you get to an understanding?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my wife should have been here before I respond to this.
To answer that. Yeah.
But I think first, your wife or this girl is getting married to a man who has been called into ministry. Just like you can get married to a man who's been called into being a pilot or a doctor or a lawyer. So I don't think you automatically become a lawyer because you... But church becomes different because one, of course, you are marrying a believer. And my presumption is that that believer was serving in some space in their church. I don't think they should automatically leave the space they were serving to come and serve another area or in another area that could be that is not their gifting. Yeah, like my wife is good with discipleship. So that's her area. So she helps with our discipleship program, gets to bring people together, train facilitators. That's her area. So because she got married to a minister, so we work together in church, but she serves in her sweet spot. So not necessarily now becoming a reverend, becoming a bishop because the spouse is a bishop. I think that is the challenge that I've seen with many people. But they should be serving in their area of choice. Yes, and gifting.
Okay. So do not run away from ministers. You know, someone tells you I'm a pasi.
You shouldn't.
You run.
You shouldn't. I mean, see him as a man, and if he has what it takes to, and what you've been praying for, and trusting God for, I mean, he's all that you want. Just go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I think that's beautifully answered.
Yes.
We were talking about dating and courtship, you know, and we looked at what if boy meets girl and they're from different religions or churches, when we've tackled that. But then here comes, you know, give us the perspective of dating and courtship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think talking about courtship is when you have made a decision, and a deliberate one for that matter, that this is a person that I want to share my life with. Because according to me, you move into like 4 stages. You start with a dream, getting a dream, and dreaming. You are praying and trusting God, going into the mountain, trusting God, bring that man, or God, bring that girl my way. You dream, and then God brings that person your way. So the challenge I've seen with most people is that they move from that part to consummation of their relationship. And that jeopardizes so much here. Because what you should do after that, it's important to make it public. Let people get to know that I am dating so-and-so. Let your parents get to know that I'm dating so-and-so. Let your spiritual parents get to know that I'm dating so-and-so. Let them get to see this particular person. Because you know what, Faith? Sometimes when you are so much in love, they say that love is blind, marriage is the eye opener. So you need to have someone else who is able to see this person from a different perspective altogether. So make it public. Ukubali kufichwa, fichika. Don't accept that. Just say that, okay, I love this person, and you take them to your parents' house, you take them to your church, and they get to interact with them. And that is what in our African culture, which is so rich, that we call dowry negotiations. What dowry negotiation is people getting to know that Gitao has chosen this particular person. And this particular person comes from this particular place. So they get known. Actually, in our African culture, they will have like 2 or 3 visits before you are allowed to go ahead with the wedding. But I think we are unfortunately it's becoming a business, so we're trying to reduce that. And I don't think there is any young person who can buy any human being. So I'm talking to parents here whose children are of that age, and whenever they bring that young man, he might not have too much money. Just allow him and give him your parental blessings, and then they go and grow together. That is very important, the part of the parent, because there is the parental blessing that is very important. Then go to the pastoral blessing, the church, make a vow before God and before his servants, and then what happens? You get blessed together. Then you move to the other step of getting to consummate your relationship. Now let me say something about the church part, because that's the wedding that I'm talking about. I think COVID season has taught us that it must not be extravagant. You must not be extravagant in working on a marriage. By the way, we've done marriages on a Sunday, within a Sunday service. I stop the service 20 minutes, you take your vows, sign the certificate, and that's it. And that's it, because that is what you are looking for. You are people of light and you want to do it right. So you do it right, and then after that you get to consummate your relationship. Now I've seen people move from stage 1 to stage 4. You've come from a dream, you've met this girl, you've met this guy, you fall in love, you go into consummation of your relationship. Then you're coming again now to, that becomes quite messy. It becomes a problem. So I encourage many young people, please just be patient. Life iko tu, kuna place inaenda, just be patient. Be patient with this person, go through those stages, and you get the blessings that you need to get at the end of the day.
There's something you said, you're people of light,
yes,
do it right.
That is very true. That is very true. That is very true.
Here comes a question, because I like how you've taken us back to, you know, you going to see the parent, getting their blessings. There's always been this debate within the church that then what we call as the traditional wedding is not the right wedding. You know, it's not ordained by God, if I may put it that way. And there's always been that debate. Percy, tell us, you know, if I've gone paid dowry, we've seen the parents, we have received the blessings, then can we now go forth and consummate a relationship, or then we still have to do a church wedding?
I think the challenge that I've seen is that when we talk about a church wedding, we think about money, we think a limousine, we think too much. We are talking about getting a blessing, parental blessing, the spiritual parents' blessing. That is in a church setting. And you know what? We say that this wedding, or the wedding that we know in church wedding is a modern concept, because we don't read the Bible. Read the book of Song of Solomon. You'll get to see a beautiful wedding that Solomon had, and it's very well articulated and stipulated right there. Many years ago. It is not a new concept at all. I think the newness in the concept is how we spend too much, and we go into loans, into debt, into borrowing, into, doing too much to please people. And you know, you'll have a big wedding today, and 2 days later, or maybe a day later, a bigger wedding will happen. So it's not about the wedding. If they'll forget yours. I find it interesting whenever I talk to young people and I ask them the post-wedding, how was it? How was it like? They're like, I never thought this is what I expected, because I thought the world should stop and get to know that I'm now. That is not the reality. You move on, and people move on and forget immediately. They go back into their usual routine. All right. So it doesn't have to be, you know, extravagant. It could be just a normal Sunday. You're in your Sunday best and cold. That is very true. The other thing is this. Remember, as a person of faith, person of light, you must do it right. And you want to tell the world that I walk in light. So I'll do it right. So I will not kubali to be taken at the nyuma ya hema and then life continues. No. You do it right, and then you get blessed together. Remember, you are raising a generation. Don't you forget that. And you want to be in a space and a place where you have moral authority to talk to your children and to your grandchildren and tell them that you must do it right. But imagine getting to a place where you've been a believer for 5, 10, 15 years, and then you forget all that, and then your children, I mean, you'll have no moral authority to address them at any given time.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that we are talking about this, there's also this debate regarding church weddings.
Yes.
Does it have to happen in the church, or it could be a garden somewhere and the pastor is there and church members are there, and that's okay? Or does it have to be in the church? Because I've had people question, you know, why do a church wedding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think the most important thing is to ask ourselves: are we talking about a building, church, the building, or church, the body of believers? Because if we're talking about the body of believers, this body of believers can be anywhere. Yeah. They can be in a garden, they can be in a building. So as long as you have this body of believers together who are witnesses, then you have a minister, you have the couple, you get to pray together.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the location doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Wow, okay. Because we've had that debate for long.
Yes.
Thank you for setting the record. So I think that's
Thank
a
you.
whole topic in its own self
Oh,
that
yes,
we need
yes,
to
yes,
tackle
yes, yes.
on the side.
That is very true.
But going back to today's topic, here we are. We have our viewers watching. Probably they're in a situation where they're married to an unbeliever.
Yes.
Or they're dating someone of a different church or an unbeliever as well.
Yes.
And I'd like you to leave them with a piece of advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I should say is this, that as you get married, as you purpose to settle, you need to look for someone that you can walk with. The Bible has told us, Amos 3:3, two cannot walk together unless they agree. Someone you can be in agreement to walk with through the thick and thin of life. And by the way, whenever we are telling people to take their vows, they're like in sickness and in health. And sickness will come and health will come. In poverty, in riches. Riches will come, but poverty will definitely come. So it's important to get someone that can walk with you, not just for the event of a wedding, not just for the season, but for life together. And I think it's important for us to get to know that we, on the other side of eternity, there will be no marriage. But you can do something on this side of eternity in your marriage that can affect the other side of the eternity. So it is important for us to get to know that. Look for someone that can walk with you, someone who will stand with you in your sickness, in diseases, and all that. They will stand with you. They can walk with you. But also get someone who can win with you. Because marriage is not a competition. You're supposed to complement each other. Yeah. Funny enough, I've seen my strengths are my wife's weaknesses. And my weaknesses are her areas of strength. There's some things that I do horribly. A perfect example is that I'm a poor negotiator. Like whenever we have people working for us, I reason like a man and I'm like, okay, when they're asking for 2,000 Kenya shilling, okay, that is enough for food and all that. But my wife is a perfect negotiator. She'll be like, look at the amount of hours you're doing this, so I don't think 2,000 2,000 is worth this. This is too much. So she's a perfect negotiator. Guess what I do? I allow her to win in that area. So when you have people working for us, I allow her to be the negotiator. And it's perfectly, it works perfectly. So get someone who will win with you, but also get someone who will war with you. WAR, who will fight together with you. You are fighting from the same side, not to fight with you, but you are fighting together. You are on the same team. So you are supporting and helping each other to keep growing and keep moving together. Someone who will protect you, because at the end of the day, you're getting into a family that you're not part of. So don't think that the other family will accept you 100% the first day. They'll be like, who are you in the first place? So get someone who will stand with you and protect you and fight for you in that given marriage. But finally, get someone who will keep you warm, who will warm with you. So we're about to get into July. Get someone and who will keep you warm. But do it right, because we're children of light. I wish you well and God bless you.
Wow. I wouldn't finish today's show without asking, do you think the difference in religion is a basis for divorce?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Because you're looking at the beginning, I mean, you're looking at the end from the beginning. You're looking at where we are going with this. So then if you're not going on the same, you're not on the same wavelength, definitely we can't go together. Because two cannot work together unless they agree. Yes.
All right. What would you say you know for sure about marriage?
Marriage is work. It works.
It works.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much, Reverend Gitao. It has been so nice having you. Wisdom from you, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sure that our viewers have learned so much from you.
Thank you.
All right, dear viewer, that is all we had for you today. Remember what Reverend has said, which is my takeaway home, that marriage is work, but indeed it sure does work. My name is Faith Kaulu, and this is Transforming Families. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep it captivating.